Welcome to Analyzing Anime 101. I am Jet Blue, also known as Frobor. Just so you know why I feel like I can justify giving this panel, I have been watching anime for 17 years. I have a degree in English with a lot of... Hey, Mike!
Yeah.
Awesome. I have a degree in English with a lot of study of a lot of different media. I studied, among the classes, I studied film, I studied comics, I studied fantasy, I studied children's literature, a lot of different stuff, practicing analyzing a lot of different things, and I've been doing panels at conventions for 4 years now, in which time I think I've done 20 or so. So that's kind of my curriculum vitae. It's not strong on academics, but I've got a lot of practical experience doing this. So I'm going to assume from the fact that you're here, either some hentai panel filled up and you needed somewhere to go, you don't have a room and you need a quiet panel to sleep in, or you actually are interested in this topic, and given that it's 2 a.m., you must be really interested. I am impressed that I have like 7 or 8 people here. I was expecting like none. Because it's 2 in the freaking morning. So let me jump right in. So what is analysis? In this context, analysis starts with the idea that all art is a collaboration, and I'll get into this more a little later in the panel. All art, even when there's only one artist doing all of the work, like most books, for example, are written by one person. There's still a collaboration going on between you and the creator. A film is made by a huge number of people collaborating with each other, or an anime is made by a huge number of people collaborating with each other, and unless it's voices of a distant star. But they're still collaborating with you, because you are doing all of the work of processing it and interpreting it. The Shinji Ikari that exists in my mind is not the same as the Shinji Ikari that exists in yours. That means the Evangelion that exists in my mind is not the same as the Evangelion that exists in yours. Most viewers, however, do this passively and subconsciously. It's automatic. A few works try to provoke you into being a little more active. Evangelion is a good example of one that intentionally tries to provoke the viewer into coming up with their own interpretations. But most works, most people are content to just kind of sit there and let the work go through them. Analysis is making your collaborative role active. It's taking conscious control of this process of interpreting what you're watching. It's looking at your own automatic interpretations and testing them, or intentionally trying out different ways of looking at things than what you would automatically do. Analysis begins with a process called close reading. I'm going to use the word close reading and text a lot, but because I come from a literature background, but in a literature background, a text can be anything humans have created. Some people would even say a text can be anything. I've seen textual analysis of the Grand Canyon. And close reading is a process that you can do with anything. It doesn't, but that's just what we call it. So, why do this? So I've got a few reasons to, went too far. Okay. I've got a few reasons you might want to do this. One is, I find it's true for me, and I think it's true for a lot of people. When I enjoy something, the more effort I put into it, the more I enjoy it. Cons are a case in point. I started coming to cons in 99, 2000, somewhere around there. I went to cons for a few years. I got bored of cons. I stopped going to cons. She made me come with her to Otakon 2008. I was like, okay, this isn't bad, but it's still kind of boring. What can I do to make it more interesting? I can stand in front of a room, sit in front of a room full of people and yap my jaw and have them listen to me. So I started doing panels. Just so you know, I've got 5 panels this weekend. 5 hours of work giving the panels, probably somewhere between 50 and 70 hours of work preparing the panels. This has been my second job for the last month. And it makes the con so much more fun because I put so much more into it. The same thing happens with works. You can enjoy analyzing and debating a show for weeks after it ends. You can do it for years. People are still arguing about Evangelion. I was just in a panel earlier tonight where people were arguing about Evangelion. And hey, always nice to have something new to talk to people about and to argue about. When you're, two fans of a show, you both go in and you say, I like it. I like it too. Or you can be like, well, I think this character, was trying to do so-and-so, and, on, and the author was doing this and that, and then you have a lot more to say. And it's a jumping off point for learning new and interesting things. I'll give you an example. My rabbi was kind of odd. So when I got bar mitzvahed, I learned a little bit of Kabbalah because he felt that was appropriate to teach a bar mitzvah student. Fast forward a few years later, I'm watching Evangelion. My friends turn to me. They're like, explain to us what the hell just happened. My answer is basically, I have no idea, but I noticed some Kabbalistic stuff. I'll get back to you in a month. A month of brain-melting research later, suddenly I know stuff about Kabbalah. Then this little game came out called Xenosaga, and I got obsessive over it. And I was going online trying to figure out what the hell this game is about, and somebody pointed out, you need to really understand this game, you need to know about Jung, and you need to know about the Jungian interpretation of alchemy. So I go and I learn about the Jungian interpretation of alchemy. And now I understand Xenosaga a lot better. Then I watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I go, ooh, Kabbalah. Ooh, Jungian alchemy. Kabbalah, Jungian alchemy, Kabbalah, Jungian alchemy. I totally understand this series without having to do anything more. So I enjoy that part of it. Now let's get into the meat of this panel. How we actually do this shit. So I'm going to go over some basic concepts. One I already hit on a little bit, and I'll go into more detail like I said. Art is a process that begins in the artist and ends in you. It is not an object, it is a process. Second point I'm going to get to is multiple perspectives. For any given work, there are a very large, possibly infinite number of right ways to look at it, and an infinite number of wrong ways to look at it. I'll describe what close reading is, and we'll do a little practice at it. I'll talk about pattern forming, and we'll do a little practice at it. And I'll talk about interrogating the text, and we'll do a little practice at it. My goal is we will analyze one short anime text by the end of this panel as a group. I am hoping to learn something about it from you guys. All right, onward. Let's talk about the process of art. Pause it. It is possible. Okay. So like I was saying, art begins as ideas in the mind of the artist. I'm an artist. I want to make an anime. I get together a team of people. We've all got our own ideas about different aspects of the anime. We all kind of have to negotiate through collaborating on this, but we all pool our ideas together. And we express those ideas through some sort of a medium. That medium might be an anime. It might be a manga. It might be a book. It might be a film. It might be the back of a cereal box. It might be a sculpture. It could be anything. But the moment I choose a medium, the medium and the ideas in my head kind of interact in complicated ways. You ever notice that sometimes somebody will take a really good book and make a really faithful film adaptation of it, and it sucks? I'm sure you've all seen examples of that. The first two Harry Potters. It's because things that work in one medium don't work in another. And whenever you go from one medium to another, you have to change these things that, work in one medium but not another. And that means that when you're putting your art into a medium for the first time, it constrains what you can do, but it also informs what you can do. It allows you to do things you might not have otherwise thought about. And this means you've already taken one step away from the pure expression of the artist's ideas. It is already a little bit different from the original conception. So then the viewer encounters the medium. Now I sit and watch the anime, and it comes in through my eyes, and when you get down to it, an anime is blotches of color and a bunch of noise. No meaning to it whatsoever. My brain has to step in and assemble those blotches of color into visual scenes. It has to then interpret those scenes to figure out, okay, that blotch of color is a character. And it's the same character that was in the previous scene, even though they were wearing different clothes. Totally automatic stuff, but there's actually a huge amount of brain work going on there. All of it completely subconscious. And at the same time as I'm doing that, I'm also filtering it through my own ideas and experiences. I look at a character and they do stuff that I consider wrong, and I come up with the opinion that the character's a jerk. I look at I look at characters and, they're sad, and I feel bad for them. Or they're sad and I don't give a crap about them. And that's going to really change my opinion of the show and my opinion about that scene and how I feel about it and how I interpret it. And then we move on to, the quote-unquote finished work. I finish watching, but over time, maybe I come back and I think about it again, or maybe I remember it, and it shifts in my mind. I have had, have you ever gone back to rewatch something you loved as a kid and discovered it sucks now? Have you ever decided you don't want to watch something you loved as a kid because you don't want to find out it sucks? That's because you don't want to replace the work in your head that you made as a kid with the work that you would make from the same input now.
I've been better. I've argued the work I know I'm watching, that I watched as a kid, isn't actually the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. The fans do that all the time. Greedo shot first. Greedo shot first is a case in point. In the Star Wars in our heads, Greedo shot first. In the Star Wars, they're showing, on the Blu-ray, he doesn't. That's okay. They're two different Star Warses.